Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It's a Sunday, a little bit of a strange one. Don't usually live stream on a Sunday, but I was sitting round and I thought, you know what, let's do the game review now to yesterday's goalless draw at Crystal Palace. Of course, wasn't the best result, wasn't the best game of football to be honest, but it also wasn't the worst performance that we've had in recent weeks, so we're here to talk about it, of course, today. I just want to apologise firstly for not uploading an instant match reaction to yesterday's game. I was in a family party, so I didn't really have the time or space to run out and do an instant match reaction to the game. I did watch the game, of course, so I'm here to talk about it today. I thought, shall I do it on Monday, shall I do it on Sunday? And I thought, you know what, I'm sitting around not doing much, so why not just, just come and talk about the game today instead of waiting another day, because it wasn't the most important, it wasn't the most interesting, game that we've seen all season. So I thought, let's get it out the way and then sort of forget about it. Obviously got Burnley on Friday at Goodison Park, so we'll do the game preview to the Burnley game on Thursday, saves doing a stream on Friday and then having to rush off to the game, of course. But yeah, that game yesterday, what do we say? It wasn't the best game, was it? Let's be honest, it wasn't the best result. We weren't fantastic whatsoever, but we also weren't awful. Like I said, we've had some away games in recent weeks where we've been really, really poor. Talking, of course, the Fulham result a couple of weeks ago, the Newcastle result. Yesterday, we weren't really, really poor. I thought we put in a decent performance. We were creating opportunities constantly. It just seemed like one of those games where the ball just didn't want to go in the back of the net. And you'd have them throughout the course of a Premier League season. You do have games where, you struggle to score. And you'd have games when, you can't put the ball in the net. You just can't. It just doesn't happen. And, we hit the post twice. We had a fantastic opportunity, a really, really good flick on by Cenk Tosun, which the keeper made a fantastic save. And like I said, it was one of those games that you do tend to see throughout the course of a Premier League season where the ball just doesn't go in the back of the net. But wasn't ideal to have it at the time that we've had it. Wasn't ideal to have it when we were in the fight for 7th place. Wasn't ideal to have it when Watford and Wolves played each other at the weekend. So it was pretty much guaranteed that at least one of those teams were going to drop points. Wasn't the best, like I said, time to have a game of football where you can't score a goal. But whatever, it is what it is. Like I said, wasn't a too disheartening performance, I'd say. We weren't awful, we weren't fantastic, don't get me wrong. I think a couple of opportunities we had, we could have done with being a little bit more assertive, we could have done with being a little bit more awake to. Dominic Calvert-Lewin at times was a little bit behind the play when he could have threw himself at an opportunity and maybe created a better chance. But like I said, it wasn't like the Fulham game where we're looking at a team that have walked out totally naive, totally arrogant and being battered off the park. We did, dominate for large parts of the game, and other than the only thing we didn't do was put the ball in the back of the net and ultimately win the game. We hit the post twice, like I said. We had Cenk Tosun had a fantastic flick, which was, well saved by the goalkeeper. But doesn't matter at the end of it, does it? Because we only got 1 point out of the game. We didn't get the 3 points. And as the title of today's stream says, does that knock us out of the race for the Europa League? Like I said, Wolves obviously beating Watford yesterday, and they were, in pole position to finish 7th anyway. And then, of course, Leicester today battering Arsenal again. Arsenal are proper shite, aren't they? But Leicester, of course, beating Arsenal, so they're getting a 1-up as well. So, let me know your thoughts in the live comments down below. Does that knock us out of the Europa League race? But for me, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't too much of a disheartening performance. It was one of those games that you're looking and you go, okay, it's a little bit disappointing that we haven't managed to create we haven't managed to convert one of the chances we've created. It's a little bit disheartening that we're coming away with only a point. But it wasn't the worst performance. It's not coming away going, we were absolutely awful, what's going on at the minute, 1 week we're here, the next week we're here. It wasn't quite like that, but it is just what we are at the minute. We're experiencing sort of a roller coaster end to the season. We said that obviously we had the fantastic wins against Chelsea, against Arsenal, and then we went to Fulham and we went that way, and it literally is like you're sitting on a roller coaster with Everton at the minute. We're just going like that, and I honestly think until Marco Silva and Marcel Brands can install that consistency into the team, then we are going to continue to be like that. Of course, we've only got a couple of games left now till the end of the season. We play Burnley on Friday at Goodison Park, which hopefully we should win. We should definitely win that game of football, and then of course Spurs on the last game of the season in their new stadium, and that is what it is, isn't it? It's always a tough place to go, and we don't necessarily have a fantastic record going to Spurs anyway, so that one could be a struggle. But like I said yesterday, It was one of those games where you're watching and you're thinking, surely the ball's going to go in the back of the net, surely we're going to score, surely at one point we're going to be able to put this ball in the back of the net, and we just never. And again, like I said, you have those games throughout the course of a Premier League season, and if we'd have had that game in October, if we'd have had that game even in January, we could have looked at it and go, okay, you know, wasn't the best result, wasn't, you know, ideally the best performance, but wasn't the worst either. We were a little bit unlucky at times. You know, we need to go up a gear next week, put it to a side, not too disheartened about it, move on with your week, but because of where it's come in the end, where it's come at the point of the season and where that game's being placed, you're sort of looking at it now thinking, well, we couldn't really afford to have had a game like that. We couldn't really have afforded to have had a result like that. If we wanted to get in the Europa League, we needed to win that game yesterday. Okay, it's not, you know, that bad, and it wasn't that bad of a performance, and the result in hindsight, you know, a draw against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, they're a good side, isn't, you know, the worst thing in the world. Definitely not the worst thing to have happened to Everton all season. However, the point in which that's come in the Premier League season, it makes it seem a lot worse than what it actually is. Shabba says, Frig me Cam, have you got to go to church or something? No, I don't know. Listen, I don't know what's going on with me here these days. 1 week it looks dead long, 1 week it looks dead short. Again, I just thought, fuck it, I need it out my eyes, so I'll just put some hairspray in it, and now I look like Bart Simpson when he has to go to church, yeah. Shabba says, a nice surprise for a Sunday afternoon. Yes. Was going, like I said, was going to do it tomorrow, but I thought, why not? I'm sitting around on a Sunday, why not? And Shabba says, bastard Wolves are on fire. They certainly are at the minute. They certainly are. Let me just tweet the steam out so everybody on Twitter knows that we are live. Understand obviously that Man United are playing Chelsea at the minute, so you know some fans might decide to watch that one instead, but that's fair enough, I suppose. I don't usually stream on a Sunday, and I wasn't actually planning to stream until this morning, so I understand if obviously people cannot make it, of course, completely. But yeah, like I said yesterday, it wasn't ideal, of course it wasn't ideal. Ideally we'd have gone out there and we'd have blew them away exactly like we did against Manchester United. We'd have got the 3 points and we'd have moved on, of course, to the Burnley game, last game of the season at Goodison Park, won that one as well, and then gone in strong to the Spurs game. Ideally we wanted to be going into Spurs at the last game of the season with 7th place pretty much nailed on. We had a fantastic opportunity when we played Fulham to do that, because obviously the teams around us were beaten, we were beaten as well, and then we had a better opportunity the week after against Manchester United. We capitalised on it, we got the points, and then, you know, this week realistically we should have gone out and beat Crystal Palace, knowing that Wolves and Watford were playing each other, knowing that Leicester had a tough game against Arsenal. Of course that ended up, that means nothing now because Leicester battered Arsenal and we didn't beat Crystal Palace, but you know, realistically we should have gone out there and we should have, you know, got the win. But we all sat here in the game preview, I sat here and I said, listen, this is not going to be an easy game whatsoever. Crystal Palace are a good side. Crystal Palace are a tough side to break down. And I think there's a lot of positives to take from Everton's performance yesterday. Listen, defensively, I thought we were really good. I thought we were really strong. We weren't, you know, we didn't have to deal with much, but Michael Keane had a really good game again. Kurt Zuma next to him as well. I think, you know, the left-hand side going forward wasn't fantastic, but coming back, you know, done the job. But like I said, we were breaking, we were creating opportunities. We just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. We hit the post twice. And I don't want to sit here and say we were unlucky, because realistically, you know, you get what you deserve in football and you create your own luck, don't you? And we should have put one of those goals away. You know, the Cenk Tosun opportunities, it's an absolutely fantastic flick by Cenk Tosun and it's a really good save, but you know, ideally we should have done a lot better with the chances that we had. Like I said, there was a couple where, you know, Richarlison steamed down the right hand side, we'll talk about Richarlison in just a minute, or Bernard steamed down the left alternatively, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Gylfi Sigurdsson, who were in and around the middle, just didn't quite commit enough. They just didn't quite take that risk, and if they would have, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin had made that run a couple of seconds earlier, then he might have been in a better position to score. But anyway, we'll go on to talk about Marco Silva's starting 11. We all sat here in the preview, we predicted his starting 11 for this game after Marco Silva coming out literally on Thursday and saying that Richarlison is a massive doubt for the game due to a hip injury he sustained against Manchester United. He ended up being in the squad. To the surprise of a lot of us, he was included in the starting 11, and nothing else changed. That pretty much meant that the starting 11 was exactly the same as the one that beat Manchester United the week before by 4-0. We all sat here, like I said, and we had that starting 11 nailed on, other than the Richarlison change, because we all thought that he wouldn't be available, as per what Marco Silva said. But he ended up being deemed fit, and he started the game. Marco Silva then, of course, fielding every single player that battered Manchester United the week before. The game in itself, it wasn't, like I said, the first half, we weren't unbelievable, but we weren't specifically poor either. We should have done better with the opportunities that we had. We should have done better on the ball. Like I said, the defence was pretty much solid throughout the rest of the game. Luca Dean and Bernard didn't have their best game going down that left-hand side. The midfield were okay. Everyone was just pretty much okay, weren't they? Everyone played well, but didn't play well enough. And I suppose it's easy to say that. I suppose you can sit there and you can say, listen, you know, if you haven't won a game of football, you haven't played well enough. And like I said, that's easier to sit here and say it. If I'd have done the instant match reaction yesterday, my opinions might have been a little bit different. But of course, you know, when you're sitting here and when you've dominated a side like Manchester United, who are going for the top 4, who are, you know, in pole position to finish it definitely in the top 6, then you're sort of sitting here thinking, well, realistically, we should be going to sides like Crystal Palace and we should be putting in similar performances. We should be winning their games of football, but we didn't. And like I said, you know, it's very easy to sit here and go, oh, it was just one of those games, let's just forget about it, let's just put it under the carpet. But we can't afford to have games like that at this point in the season, especially if these lads want the top 7, if these lads want European football. No, I don't know what they want. I don't know what Marco Silva and what the team wants. I don't know whether they want to be playing in Europe next season. I don't know whether Marco Silva is saying, okay, let's just, you know, leave Europe out of it and we'll go again next season and we'll try and get in there by finishing in the top 6. I don't know, but the performance against Fulham certainly didn't seem like they wanted the top 7. And yesterday's, you know, we just weren't taking enough opportunity. We weren't taking enough risks as to put the ball in the back of the net. And like I said, you're going to have those games at times throughout the course of a Premier League season, but realistically we should have had a little bit more about us just to finish that game off yesterday. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, like I said, we spoke about him in previous weeks. We said how good he's been, how much improved he's been in the last sort of 10 weeks. We've also spoken, said he's probably not good enough to lead the line for next season. I think yesterday pretty much solidified the fact that he's not good enough to lead the line on his own for next season. He could do with being a little bit better in front of goal. He could do with being a little bit, his decision making being a little bit better. And like I said, Dominic Calvert-Lewin for me technically has got pretty much everything on the ball. You know, his touch is really, really good. His ability to win headers is really, really good. His driving forward is good, but his off the ball work needs improving massively. Like I said yesterday, there's a couple of opportunities where he just makes that run a little bit too late. He just makes that decision a little bit too late. And if he's on that a couple of seconds before, and if he's making that run, then Richarlison puts a ball in and, you know, he's there to tap it in, but he doesn't, you know, he makes that decision a little bit too late. And, you know, the ball's already over his head by the time he's got to it. You know, there was an opportunity where Richarlison put a really, really good cross in and Dominic Calvert-Lewin was in and around the 6-yard box, went for the diving header, completely missed the ball. But you're sitting there thinking, if you'd have made that decision a split second earlier, you'd have gone on to that ball and you'd have headed that into the back of the net. And, you know, I suppose with a young striker, we're going to be sitting here and we're going to be saying that nobody's under the illusion that Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you know, isn't a fantastic footballer and isn't improving massively as the weeks go on. But we're also not under the illusion that, you know, we need another striker. We need a player that does make them decisions 2 seconds earlier, 3 seconds earlier, and ensures that they're in the right place at the right time. Because you're going to get games like that yesterday throughout the course of a Premier League season. You're going to get games where sometimes the ball just won't go in and you need a scrappy ball. You need it to come off somebody's arse. You're going to get games like that. It happens. Yes, it's not ideal that it happened at the time it happened, but it definitely does happen. So that's where you need that little bit of quality, that little bit of class that can come in and that can go even in these games where everything seems to be going against us. I'm going to make sure it goes for us. I'm going to put one of them in the back of the net, and we didn't have that yesterday, and we haven't had that all season, but we just haven't had a game really like yesterday where, you know, it's been exposed as much as that. Like I said, if we'd have had a 20 goal or 30 goal a season striker, who knows, we might have won the game. We might not won the game. There's nothing to say that, but, you know, it wasn't awful, but it definitely wasn't good enough, that's for sure. David says Sunday worship with the Reverend Cam Shabba. And yeah, every year, because I decide to come on these streams these days, just gets absolutely slated, doesn't it? But, you know, I can take it. I'll take it on the chin. That's fair enough. If you are enjoying the stream so far, please do leave a like. It really, really does mean a massive amount to me. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. So close to 500 subscribers now, so it really, really would mean a massive amount to me. Marco Silva spoken after yesterday's result. He has said that, you know, I told our players that the result was not what we wanted, but we deserved more. We tried everything. And I think that's, you know, that's pretty much what the manager would have expected to come out and say after the game. You know, he wasn't going to come out and he wasn't going to say we weren't good enough, we were awful, we should have been better. He said, listen, we've done everything that we could, but the result didn't go our way. We tried everything. And I suppose, you know, as a fan, you can sit there and we can make that decision, can't we? We can sit here as fans and talk about the game afterwards. We can sit here and think about the game throughout the whole of next week, and we can sit and think, did we do enough? Did we do everything that we could? Did every single one of those players then give 150%? Because if we're sitting here and we're thinking, you know what, every single one of those starting 11 give 150%. The subs that come on give 150%, and the result just didn't go our way. We just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, and that happens sometimes in football. Then you're not too disheartened about it. You can sit there and think, okay, fair enough, you know, whatever, put that one under the carpet, and we move on. I don't know whether we can sit here and say that, you know, I don't know whether we can sit and say every single player give 110%. I don't think Dominic Calvert-Lewin didn't try enough. I don't think he didn't give everything that he's got. I just think his decision making could be a little bit better. Same on on the left hand side with Bernard. He didn't have his best game, but that's not necessarily because I don't think he gave it 110%. I just think he was one of those games where he wasn't at his best. Same with Richarlison on the right. Richarlison obviously being included in a squad that 2 days before he was a massive doubt due to an injury. So I don't know. I suppose that's a question for us fans to be able to think about and answer throughout the course of this week. Should Richarlison have played? There's another question. If he's a massive doubt on the Thursday, we only would have then had one training session, maybe on the Friday in the morning. They wouldn't have obviously trained on the Saturday. They've had to travel down to London. Should Richarlison have played? Was he fully fit? As Marco Silva made that decision because he thought, well, I don't want to play Ademola Lookman, and Theo Walcott's also still not in fully fit. So a 50% Richarlison's better than a 100% Ademola Lookman. That doesn't give you that much. Or should Marco Silva have just turned around and said, listen, you know what, you're not fit, you're not playing? Or has he literally gone, oh, we need someone, so can you just give it, the best that you've got? I don't know. That's another question, of course. Shabba says, yeah, it was just one of those games. No matter what you do, nothing ever comes off. Exactly. And it was. And like I said, it's not ideal, and I'm not making excuses for the side, because we should have been able to, put the ball in the back of the net at some point. And I suppose that's what separates good teams from great teams, is in those games you find a way to win the game. You find a way to put the ball in the back of the net even when things aren't going your way. But yesterday we just couldn't. Helbo says, I personally think Wolves have a good couple of players, but their squad is not big enough to do well in the Europa League and the Premier League. Maybe, and that tends to what happens with a lot of teams that go into the Europa League, is they find that the squads aren't big enough to sort of compete in both the Europa League and the Premier League. So maybe Wolves will have that effect as well. And David says, the season has been a building block for next season. We all wanted more, but we will all be better next season. I fully believe that. Can't wait to see how quick we get business done in a few weeks. Exactly, and that's spot on, David. Listen, we all sat here, didn't we? And I've said this before. We all sat here at the start of this season and we all said, listen, 7th place is probably about right. You've got the top 6 who are the Sky arse lickers top 6, and then you've got the rest of us, and we realistically should be the best of the rest. Now, nobody knew Wolves were going to break into the Premier League in their first season and absolutely smash it up, get into a semi-final of an FA Cup, pretty much solidify their place in the top 7. Nobody knew that was going to happen. We didn't know Leicester were going to have as good as a season as they did. We didn't know Watford were going to have as good as a season that we did. We also should have, realistically, I think a lot of us got a bit too ahead of ourselves towards the start of the season, when we should have been able to sit back and go, this is Marco Silva's first season, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and just like any manager's first season, it's a roller coaster ride. There's good things, there's bad things. What we need to realise is, we need to sit here as a fan base at the end of the season and we go, what was the best thing to happen in that season, and what was the worst thing to happen? What was the worst defeat? What was the worst performance? And what was the best performance? And that's, I suppose, how we can calculate how well Marco Silva has done. You're looking there and you're going, okay, well, I suppose the best thing, certainly for me, in my opinion, is the fact that in the last 8 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is, we've absolutely dominated 3 of the top 6. 4 of the top 6 if you include Liverpool, and we've kept clean sheets in all of those games. We've battered Chelsea, Arsenal and United, and we've given Liverpool a good run for the money as well, and like I said, we've kept a clean sheet. The worst part maybe is the result against Liverpool at Anfield, maybe is the performances that followed after that, maybe the Spurs performance, I don't know, but it was always going to be a building block. It was always going to be learning lessons, and I think we've all sat here when we've had them big results and we've all gone, yeah, when Marco Silva gets this right, he really does get it right. We're sitting here with a team that we know is lacking a 20 to 30 goal a season striker. We know is probably lacking another central midfielder, another creative player, another number 10, maybe another right back. We know that it's lacking all of these components, and we're still going out and beating these sides that should be finishing in the top 4 comfortably at home, and not letting them get anywhere near our defence and our back line with the side that we've got now. We know how good it's been under Marco Silva, but you also know that at times it's been, really, really poor and really, really bad. But it was always going to be a building block, and if we can finish 7th, 8th, 9th, then you're looking at it going, okay, now we build going on to next season. We will do business, I believe, in the next couple of weeks. I think Andre Gomes will be one of the first that we announce. I do think he'll sign on a permanent. Whoever else, I don't know. Maybe Marcel Brands has got a couple of names that we're not necessarily used to. We don't necessarily know, a lot about, but I dare say that he'll be looking and scouting players from these different countries that might be fantastic, might fit into our squad brilliantly, but we don't know a lot about, and I'm happy with that. Whoever Marco Silva signs, whoever Marcel Brand picks, I trust Marcel Brand, I trust Marco Silva, so we just have to put our trust and our faith in them. Next season we have to go again, like you said. Listen, it was always going to be a roller coaster ride. We could tell it was a roller coaster when we battered Chelsea, we battered Arsenal, we battered West Ham, sorry, and then we come down and we were beaten by a relegated Fulham, and then we battered Man United, and then yesterday's it's just going like that at the minute. And like I said, yesterday's wasn't the worst performance that I've seen, you know, Everton even in the last 3 or 4 weeks. It wasn't the worst performance. It was one of those games where we couldn't do anything to put the ball in the back of the net, and like I said, it's one of those games that should be looked at the end of the season and go, okay, how can we ensure that next season when we are you know, faced with this situation again, how do we make sure that we get through it? How do we make sure that we do put the ball in the back of the net and we do get the 3 points? Then if we can have a look at that and we can do that going into next season, then that's perfect. Of course, David said realistically that 12 leaving 4 come in. I know Marco wants 6, but 2 of those are already here. Vlasic and Onyekuru, and he wants Zoom and Gomez leaving too. Exactly, you know, I think it's quite clear that a lot of players will leave the club in the summer, and hopefully, you know, a couple of players will come back in as well. Sorry, you know, you have got some on loan, the likes of Vlasic and Onyekuru. I don't know whether Vlasic will still be here next season. Onyekuru hopefully will get his opportunity. Gomez as well, if Zuma comes in, that's, you know, 2 players that we've seen from the squad this season that are, you know, are going to be new signings. But like I said, I do really believe that Marcel Brands and Marco Silva have got their eye on a few players, and they will be, you know, attempting to bring those players into the club as early as, you know, June the 1st or whenever the transfer window starts, and let's hope that is the case. Helbo says, calm off the top of your head, if Gomez is not staying with us next season, is there 20 to 35 million deep lane playmaker you would like to join the squad? Off the top of my head, I don't know. Really like the look of that Yuri Tielemans from Leicester. I think he's a fantastic player. I've liked the look of him since he was playing, you know, for Anderlecht. I think he's an absolutely fantastic talent. Don't know whether he'd come to us, obviously only after being at Leicester for 1 season. But I'd have to have a little think about it, to be honest with you. I do think Gomez does want to join, and I do think he will join. The price hopefully is, you know, around about the £18 million that has been rumoured, but who knows, like you said, Gomez might very well turn around at the end of the season and go, we didn't finish in European football, so I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there instead, you know, and then that's another situation that Marco Silva and Marcel Brands will have had to have thought about. That's another situation they'll have had to have planned for, because there's no guarantee in that Gomez will sign, there's no guarantee in that Zuma will sign, so, you know, fair enough. If they don't want to sign for the football club, they don't have to sign for the football club, so we have to have a plan in place to, if that does happen, and I think that's what we've been guilty of previously, as you know, just basically saying, yeah, that loan player will sign, we'll be signed with that, they'll stay another year, they'll sign the contract, and it not happening, and then we go, shit, what do we do now? So there needs to be a plan in place for if Gomez and Zuma come in, and if Gomez and Zuma decide not to come in as well. But yeah, like I said yesterday, listen, we weren't fantastic. There's not much to say about the game other than the fact that we created opportunities and we didn't put them in the back of the net. And you could put that down to being unlucky. You could put that down to being you know, one of those days. You could put that down to us not being good enough. It's all opinionated, really, isn't it? When we're looking at a game like this, when we're reviewing, when we are analysing a game like this, but I can't get my words out, it's important to, you know, have an opinion on it, and somebody's opinion might be we weren't good enough and we should have done better, and somebody's opinion might be, you know, we created all the opportunities we needed to, we were just unlucky, and I suppose that's where the opinions lie. For me, listen, I just think we probably should have been a little bit better. We should have been able to put Palace away, especially, you know, considering we dominated large parts of the game and the opportunities that we did have, but we couldn't put them away, and like I said, that happens at some point throughout the course of the season. You've just seen Manchester City only just scrape past Burnley today, and they're in the dying ends of the season as well. They're fighting for the championship. We're fighting for the, you know, the top 7, and realistically, if like I said, if we'd have played Palace earlier on in the season and we'd have looked at this game, we'd have gone, okay, wasn't the best result, wasn't the best scenario, but it is what it is, whatever, we move on. It's the fact that it's at this time in the season that you're looking at and you're going, yeah, it hurts a little bit more, because realistically we couldn't really have afforded to slip up yesterday. We didn't lose the game, of course. It was a much better performance than the Fulham performance, a much better performance than, you know, the last 20 minutes of the Newcastle performance, but again, we didn't win the game, so realistically, you know, it's not ideal, is it, at the end of the day? David says, Gomez price and deal has been set for a few months now. It's up to him. I do want the club to come out this week and clarify Jags and Baines. Yeah, and I do believe they will. I do think the clarity on whether Phil Jagielka and Leighton Baines will be here next season will be announced this week. And I dare say the Gomez deal as well will be announced pretty much as soon as we possibly can as well. If he's signing on a permanent, I think the club will want to get that one done and dusted and out the way to then move on into the summer. Obviously, we don't want to be sitting here in mid June, early July, thinking, well, is Gomez signing or not? What's happening with Gomez? You know, if he's signing, sign the paper, get him announced now, move on. He's a part of the squad for next season, as he was for this season. And David says, not screw it up like Ozzy and Hibbo. Exactly, you know, the situation that happened with Leon Osman and Tony Hibbert was pretty poor, and, you know, let's hope that doesn't happen again with two absolute legends of the club in Jackson Baines. John says, why are you going live on a Sunday when I'm in the pub, but keep up the good work? I don't know, John, I don't know. I just thought, you know what, let's go live on a Sunday instead. A little bit of a difference. But thank you very much, John. Thank you very much. But anyway, I think I'm going to leave it there. A little bit of a short one today, only a 25-minute stream, but there wasn't too much to talk about for yesterday's game, was there? We created them, you know, a fair few opportunities, and we couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. There's going to be some weeks where we create 6 opportunities and score 4. There's going to be some weeks where we create 20 and don't score 1. I think it's not ideal as the point of the season as to that game has come, because obviously, you know, Wolves and Watford played each other yesterday, so it was a guarantee that at least one of those teams was going to drop points. It ended up being Watford. Of course, Watford are in the FA Cup final as well, so there's added pressure for them. Leicester beating Arsenal as well, so realistically we really did need the 3 points yesterday. We didn't get it, and that's fair enough, but we have to go again now, and we have to start, you know, finish the season strong. Is Europa League football still on? I don't know. I've put it as the title of this team, Blues out of the Europa League race. I don't know. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. But I think we just forget about that for the minute. I think Marco Silva and the squad should just forget about European football, see where we finish at the end of the season. Let's go out, let's beat Burnley, and then let's, you know, go and put in a decent performance against Spurs away from home on the last game of the season. Because at the end of the day, it's out of our hands now. Wolves, Watford, Leicester, they might go on and win their 3 remaining games, and they, you know, we might be totally out the race mathematically anyway. If we go out and we beat Burnley convincingly on Friday, and then we go and put in a really good performance, and who knows, maybe even beat Spurs at their brand spanking fancy shiny new stadium, then I think a lot of Evertonians will sit back and go, okay, we didn't finish in the Europa League space, we didn't, you know, finish 7th where we all wanted us to finish at the start of the season, but we've gone out there and, you know, we've had a couple of little slip-ups in the last 10 weeks, but the majority of the games we've played really well. You know, we've beaten Arsenal, Chelsea, United at home convincingly, and if we go out and beat Spurs, you can say, and we've beat one of the top 6 away from home as well in the last game of the season. So we go into next season positive then, and I think that's what it's about at the minute. You know, we're riding the waves, we're riding the emotions a little bit, and we're on the roller coaster ride, and we just have to make sure that, you know, we finish the season strong and we go out and put 2 really good performances in the next couple of games, and like I said, finish the season on a high, and then rebuild again in the summer where we need to, and go again going into next season. Helbo says Wolves is not going to win against Liverpool. Probably not. And Helbo says, I think there's a very slim chance, but we need 6 points for sure. Now we definitely do. And John says, Helbo, you never know in this league. Of course, you never know. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's team. Please do leave a like if you have enjoyed. I'll be back on Tuesday for another live stream. I'm a little bit busy tomorrow night, so that's why I've rearranged the streams for that. But I'll be back on Tuesday at 6:15 for another live stream, so don't forget to join me for that one. And then a Thursday for the live game preview to, of course, Everton versus Burnley, with the game being on the Friday night. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and stream, you know, an hour before the game, so be live on Tuesday. A little bit of a different schedule for this week, so Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday rather than Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So Tuesday at 6:15, don't forget to join me live for that one, and then of course Thursday for the live game preview to our last game of the season at Goodison Park against Burnley. It's a Friday night game, not ideal again, but it is what it is. Let's hope we can go out there and we can, you know, win that game of football and then end the season strong, regardless of where we finish, regardless if it means we finish in the Europa League spot or not. Let's just go and end the season strong, and then hopefully rebuild again in the summer, bring in that 20-30 goal a season cycle that we know we need, bring in a couple of other players that we might need, and then go again next season, and hopefully put in a real challenge for the top 6 next season. David says we don't need Europa League, we can push next season. Let's get ourselves sorted first. Fair enough, and I think that's how a lot of Evertonians will be feeling. And Helbo says thanks, have a good day. Thank you very much, and thanks to everybody else that got involved today in the live comments. If you're watching this live, please do leave a like. It really does mean a massive amount to me. Subscribe if you are new as well. If you're watching it as a YouTube video, leave all your thoughts about yesterday's game in the comment section down below. I'll be reading through them all night. It'll be really interesting to hear what you guys have to say. But anyway, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to join me on Tuesday at 6:15 for another live stream. Leave the video a like if you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks to everybody for getting involved, and I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.